DeepSeek Harness, the open-source agent stack that could change coding agents. For the last few years, the AI coding race seemed simple. OpenAI had Codex, Anthropic had Claude Code, Google had Gemini-based coding tools like Antigravity, and the big question was always, which model writes better code? But that question is changing, because a modern coding agent is not just a model. The model is the brain, but something else has to give that brain access to files, terminals, search, memory, tools, sandboxes, other agents, and a way to keep working for a long time. That entire layer around the model is what we call the agent harness, and this is where DeepSeek has just made a very interesting move. DeepSeek has released DeepSeek Harness, currently in developer preview, as an open-source project under the MIT license, and its central idea is incredibly simple. Everything is a plugin. That means DeepSeek is not only building another coding agent, it is building a framework where almost every part of an agent can be replaced or recombined. Models can be plugins, tools can be plugins, skills can be plugins, sessions, sandboxes, storage, loops, scheduling, and even the user interface can be plugins. And that is what makes this release much more interesting than just another competitor to Claude Code. So first, let's understand what an agent harness actually does. Imagine you tell an AI, open this project, find the bug, fix it, run the tests, and make sure everything works. The language model can reason about that request, but it cannot magically operate your computer. Something has to connect the model to the real world. That is the harness. Think of the model as the brain in the center, surrounded by the systems that let it act. The model decides what to do. The harness gives it tools. The harness executes those tools. It preserves context. It manages sessions. It can provide a sandbox. It can launch sub-agents. It can schedule work. And it can record what happened. So the actual system looks less like AI model and more like model plus runtime. And DeepSeek makes that idea explicit with its own mental model. Agent equals model plus harness. This distinction is becoming extremely important, because two developers can use the same model and still get completely different results depending on the harness around it. The harness determines what the model can see, what it can do, how many steps it can take, how errors are handled, and how the whole task is managed. That is why agent engineering is becoming its own field. Now let's look at what DeepSeek has actually built. At the center is something called Cordis. Think of Cordis as the kernel of the whole system. It manages plugins, their dependencies, and how those plugins communicate. Then around that kernel, DeepSeek puts the actual agent capabilities. And here is where the architecture becomes unusual. Instead of hard-coding everything into one application, DeepSeek exposes these capabilities as plugins. So rather than having one giant monolithic agent, you get a collection of interchangeable components. You could imagine the architecture on screen as a central Cordis kernel with branches going toward the model, tools, skills, sessions, sandbox, storage, agent loop, scheduler, and UI. And because those pieces are plugins, developers can swap or extend them through configuration without changing the core harness source code. That is a very different philosophy from building one polished agent and keeping the internal runtime mostly hidden. DeepSeek is saying, here is the runtime. Experiment with it. Now let's look at the 4 modes DeepSeek provides. First is standard mode. This is the normal full coding agent experience. It includes file editing, shell access, file and web search, skills, planning, goals, sub-agents, and workflows. So if you simply want something that behaves like a modern coding agent, standard mode is the closest match. Then there is code mode. This one is particularly interesting. Instead of making the model perform every tool call one at a time, DeepSeek exposes tools through a code mode SDK, so the model can generate a TypeScript program that orchestrates multiple operations. So instead of this, model, call a tool, get the result, think again, call another tool, get the result, think again. The model can potentially generate one program that performs several related operations. Visually, think of a normal agent as a loop of model, tool, result, model, tool, result. Code mode changes that into model, generated program, multiple tool operations, combined result, that could reduce unnecessary interaction overhead for some workflows. Then there is minimal mode, and this is actually very useful. Minimal mode intentionally gives the agent only 2 core tools, persistent bash and a file editor called str, replace editor. Why would you make an agent weaker on purpose? Because it is useful for benchmarking. If you want to measure the model rather than the sophistication of the surrounding harness, you can deliberately reduce the environment. So instead of asking, how good is this complete agent product, you can ask a cleaner question. How capable is the model when it has only a very small tool set? That makes minimal mode valuable for researchers and agent developers. And finally, there is creator mode. This is where DeepSeek starts looking less like a coding assistant and more like an agent building platform. Creator mode lets developers inspect the runtime, experiment with plugins in memory, and combine them into new agent presets. So the 4 modes tell us something important. DeepSeek is not only asking developers to use an agent, it is asking developers to experiment with how agents themselves should be built. Now there is another feature that I think is even more important. Every run is traceable. DeepSeek says that everything the model sees can be recorded in an append-only session log. That includes system prompts, reasoning, tool calls and results, sub-agent scheduling, context injection, and other runtime events. And the same event stream can support resume, fork, search, and replay. This is a big deal. Imagine an agent works on a repository for 30 minutes and makes a bad decision. Instead of seeing only the final answer, you can inspect the trajectory. You can see what it searched, which files it opened, which commands it ran, which sub-agent it launched, what information entered the context, where a test failed, and what the agent did afterward. This can be visualized as a timeline of the complete agent trajectory, and that is useful not just for debugging, it is useful for evaluation, reproducibility, observability, and eventually safety. Because when agents become more autonomous, understanding what they actually did becomes almost as important as seeing the final output. Now let's step back and look at something that actually changes how these systems get used in practice: cost. Because when you move from chat models to agent systems, pricing stops being a detail. It becomes architecture. DeepSeek's V4 family introduces a peak and off-peak pricing model. Off-peak usage is exactly 50% cheaper. Peak hours are 01 to 04 o'clock UTC, 06 to 10 UTC. Everything else is off-peak. Here's how the pricing breaks down. A few things immediately stand out. First, cache hit input is extremely cheap, down to 0.07s per million tokens in off-peak flash. Second, off-peak pricing literally cuts compute in half. Third, output tokens are still the main cost driver, especially for long-running agents. And fourth, the system quietly encourages something important: scheduling work. If you can run agent workloads off-peak, you save a lot of money. And that matters because agents don't behave like normal chat requests. They don't run once and stop. They loop, they reread context, they call tools, they retry failures, they refine their own outputs. So even small per-token differences don't stay small for long, they compound. Now compare that with Claude Opus 5, based on publicly available pricing. Input tokens, around $15 per million. Output tokens, around $75 per million. Even with caching and optimizations, you're still operating in a much higher cost band than DeepSeek's V4 family. The gap here isn't just cheaper versus more expensive, it's structural. Even at DeepSeek's peak pricing, V4 Pro is still roughly 10 to 20 times cheaper on input, 20 times or more cheaper on output, and off-peak pricing pushes that gap even further. But the real story isn't the numbers themselves, it's what those numbers unlock. Because agent systems don't scale like chat systems. They run for longer periods, reprocess the same context repeatedly, revisit files multiple times, execute chains of tool calls, recover from errors and retry steps. So when tokens get cheaper, developers don't just reduce cost, they change behavior. They let agents explore more possible solutions, run deeper debugging loops, maintain longer working context, iterate more times before stopping, operate with more autonomy. In other words, lower cost doesn't just make agents cheaper to run, it makes them more capable in practice. Now look at V4 itself. DeepSeek says V4 has a 1 million token context window, supports tool calls, supports both OpenAI compatible and Anthropic compatible APIs, and is specifically optimized for agentic workloads. DeepSeek also says V4 is integrated with major agent products such as Claude Code, OpenClaw, and OpenCode. This is another clue. DeepSeek is not treating the model as an isolated chatbot. It is designing the model to plug into an ecosystem of agents, and that leads to perhaps the most important strategic question: what exactly is DeepSeek competing against? It is tempting to say, DeepSeek is competing with Claude Code, but I think that is too narrow. DeepSeek is competing in the larger race to define the AI agent stack. Think about the evolution. First, we asked which model is smartest. Then we asked which model is best at coding. Then which coding agent is best. And now we are asking a bigger question. Which agent system can reliably turn a goal into completed work? That is a different problem. The model still matters, a lot. But now the stack around that model matters too. The tools matter. The context management matters. The sandbox matters. The memory matters, the agent loop matters, the ability to recover from failures matters, sub-agents matter, evaluation matters, and even the user interface can affect how useful the system becomes. This is why OpenAI is investing in harness engineering, why Anthropic keeps expanding Claude Code, why Google is moving toward a shared anti-gravity harness, and why DeepSeek is making its harness open and modular. Now, does that mean DeepSeek harness is already better than Claude Code or Codex? No, and this is where we need to be careful. DeepSeek itself calls harness a developer preview. Its plugins and APIs are still evolving, so today I would not describe it as Claude Code, but better. That would be misleading. A better description is, DeepSeek Harness is an open-source experimental platform for building and studying agent runtimes, and that is already significant, because it gives developers something they usually do not get: a chance to inspect the machinery, modify the machinery, swap the machinery, and build new machinery. Imagine an enterprise that wants a special sandbox. It could potentially build or plug one in. Imagine a research team that wants a different memory system that can become a plugin. Imagine someone wants a completely different model that is exactly the kind of flexibility the architecture is designed for. Imagine someone wants a custom scheduler for long-running agents. Again, that fits the model. That is why I think the most important phrase in this entire announcement is not coding agent. It is, everything is a plugin, because that points toward an ecosystem. A future where developers might mix and match models, tools, memory, sandboxes, schedulers, and interfaces, and that leads to a much bigger picture. The future AI stack may not look like one company providing everything. It could look more like this. At the bottom, you have models from different providers. Above that, you have interchangeable agent runtimes. Above that, you have tools and memory, then orchestration, then applications, and developers choose the combination that works best. That would make the model provider less like the entire product and more like one component in a larger computing stack. This is also why DeepSeek's open-weight strategy matters. If the model is open and the harness is open, developers can potentially control a much larger portion of the stack. Instead of closed model plus closed agent, you can eventually move toward open model plus open harness plus your own tools and infrastructure. That is a very different level of control, but again, there are trade-offs. Closed platforms like Claude Code, Codex, and Anti-Gravity have enormous advantages in polish, integration, and ecosystem maturity. A highly modular system is powerful, but modularity also creates complexity. Someone has to maintain the plugins. Someone has to test compatibility. Someone has to manage security. Someone has to make sure the whole system behaves reliably. And that is the hardest part of autonomous agents. Not making a model call a tool once, making the entire system behave reliably for hours. So if I had to summarize the current landscape, I would put it this way. Claude Code is one of the strongest examples of a polished, production-oriented coding agent. Codex is moving toward a unified OpenAI agent infrastructure across multiple interfaces. Google is building around shared infrastructure and increasingly multi-agent workflows through anti-gravity, and DeepSeek is betting that the future should be much more open and composable at the runtime level. Different philosophies, different strengths, and potentially, eventually, very different ecosystems. For developers, the choice is therefore becoming less about picking one perfect AI. You might eventually choose a harness based on the task, one runtime for coding, another for research, another for enterprise workflows, another for local agents, another for benchmarking, and the model underneath could change without rebuilding everything. That is the architecture DeepSeek is pointing toward. And there is one final thing worth remembering. The AI industry often celebrates model launches because models are easy to compare. You can put benchmark numbers on a chart. You can compare context windows. You can compare token prices. But the real world is messy. A real agent has to understand a repository, use tools correctly, handle failures, keep state, recover from mistakes, know when to ask for help, and eventually finish the job. That is where the harness becomes critical. So perhaps the most important shift happening right now is this. AI development is moving from model engineering towards system engineering. The model is still the brain, but the harness is the environment that turns intelligence into action. And DeepSeek's most interesting contribution may not be that it released another coding agent. It may be that it is trying to open source the layer that makes agents actually work. The model can change, the tools can change, the memory can change, the sandbox can change, the scheduler can change. Even the interface can change, but the agent can keep the same underlying architecture. And if that idea catches on, the next major AI competition may not simply be about who has the smartest model. It may be about who builds the best environment for intelligence to operate. And that is why DeepSeek Harness is worth watching, not because it has already won the coding agent race, but because it is betting that the next generation of AI will be built less like a single application and more like an operating system for agents. That's all for today in Dots and Arrows. Thanks for watching.